I believe the Bible because it gives me a hope of eternal life. But having worked in the archaeology of Jerusalem and the land of Israel, I've also seen the accuracy of that historical record. It's amazing to see how accurately the cities are described in the Bible. And you can go there today, visit those biblical sites with the Bible in your hand, and you'll be convinced of the truth of the Bible. For 20 years, I've lived in the land of Israel. Most of the time, however, I worked in Jerusalem as an archaeological architect on all of the major excavations that took place there. And it gave me a complete picture of the city, of not only the Temple Mount, but to the south of it was the city of David, with the Siloam pool. In John chapter 9 we read that Jesus healed the man that was born blind. He spat on the ground, made a bit of paste with the mud and put it on the man's eyes, and he said to him, "Go and wash in the pool of Siloam." Well, you can still go to the Siloam pool today. The water is still streaming there, coming from the Gihon spring and running through Hezekiah's tunnel, and you can see the same water that was used by the blind men to wash in. Most visitors, when they come to Jerusalem for the first time, go to the top of the Mount of Olives, and the whole city is spread out before you. Rising above the Kidron Valley is the Temple Mount, and your mind goes back to that time when Jesus was there with his disciples. They pointed out to him the buildings of the temple, and Jesus prophesied that not one stone shall be left upon another. And that is true. Not one stone is left standing upon each other on the Temple Mount itself. They're all thrown down by the Romans, and you can still see them lying down on the street below the Western Wall. You can climb over those stones and touch them, but you must realize that you're touching the fulfillment of a prophecy that came to pass. We can go further back in the history of Jerusalem. When the exiles came back from Babylon, they first built a temple and an altar under Joshua and Zerubbabel, but later Nehemiah came and he built up the walls of Jerusalem. A very accurate plan has been described in the 3rd chapter of the book of Nehemiah. But you can go to the city of David today and see a stretch of wall that was built by Nehemiah and his people. And there you can touch history and feel that the Bible is true indeed. In the Jewish quarter excavations, a massive Israelite tower was excavated, which I was able to identify later on as the Middle Gate, which is mentioned in Jeremiah chapter 39. But during the excavations, a most interesting find was made, because on the outside, on a 4-inch thick layer of soot and burned stones, 4 arrowheads were found. 3 were made of iron and 1 of bronze. The iron ones belonged to the Israelite army, and the bronze one to the Babylonian army. It's a very telling testimony of that battle that took place and the destruction of Jerusalem. Abraham was called by God to take his son, his only son Isaac, and bring him there for an offering upon one of the mountains, which I will tell you of. There was Mount Moriah, which is buried under the Temple Mount, although the top can still be seen inside the Dome of the Rock. Abram didn't have to sacrifice his son Isaac, but God sacrificed his own son. It says in John chapter 3, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. The Bible is both a history book, a very accurate one for that, but it's also a book of hope to give us everlasting life, and that is why I believe and love the Bible.